Hello there, Craig. How are you doing?
All right, mate. How's it going?
I'm all right, mate. Welcome back to Porky's Corner for your second appearance.
Yeah, it's been I was trying to remember earlier when the last time I was on. I couldn't remember if it was uh after AJ Usyk won or it was definitely after an AJ fight. I can't remember which one it was, but it was ages ago.
Yeah. How are we doing? Are we all right?
Yeah, good. How are you? Got all
I'm all right.
your electrical issues sorted out?
Well, to come out here, I shouldn't really be doing them laid on bed anyway, should I? Really? I mean, four times it shut down because somebody's stolen all fiber optic cables where I live. But I know, yeah, I'm not going to say I don't have a good idea who it is, but you'd be racist if you were to say that. But listen, good luck to them. I hope they don't get caught. But I had to come out here. But I shouldn't really be doing them on bed anyway. When I used to do them on bed, Gary at Welcome Estates used to have a bit of a dig at me. So you shouldn't be doing it on bed. I used to, I've always done them laid down at night because you're working all day. I'm up early, that's it all day.
Yeah.
When you're at bed, I go home, I watch telly in my bedroom football, and you just want to. I'll do a Zoom as well. So football on with sound of Liverpool, Chelsea, and
Yeah.
you know,
I like
Zoom.
seeing the
Zoom.
I like seeing the DVD collection in the background.
Yeah, some of them I've not even watched. I did watch one, Live by Night with Ben Affleck. He directed it, produced it, starred in it. DiCaprio produced it. I watched that overnight. I thought it's still in wrapper. Just having a root through when I was bored, and sometimes you have to switch off, don't you, from boxing. But I give
Yeah.
away once I've watched them anyway. Once, so if anybody wants one, you can take your pick. No, good have they after you've watched them. You've got a gym, haven't you, over your way?
That's right, yeah, Matrix Fitness.
Where's that at?
Malvern, which is it's a small town in Worcestershire, so not like 40 minutes down the road from Birmingham.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And you run Porky's Corner Instagram, don't you?
Yeah, not as well as I should, but yeah.
How many? Have we got any subscribers on there yet?
Yeah, hang on, I'll have a quick look. Where are we up to? We've got 710 followers on there.
There you go. See, I don't bother with all like that. You see, I used to be on Twitter. I was pretty ruthless years, got 20 odd thousand subscribers, but I don't bother with all that because I don't have time to interact. Every now and then I'll pipe up on comment section, but it's rare. But
Yeah.
I don't. I couldn't have patience for it. It's a bit too much for me. But you don't really comment on it much, either, do you? Really? No.
No, well, I don't. Obviously, I don't like to speak for you unless you ask me to put something on there. So,
How many times have I spoken to you about it? Hardly any, is there really?
nah, exactly. So, it's like you just said, you could easily just spend all of your time replying to people and getting into arguments and stuff. I've fallen down the hole today about last night, and eventually you just you might as well just hit your head against the wall because you're
Yeah,
never gonna get through to these people. So what's the point?
yeah. Okay. Obviously, we want to talk about last night. Let's start from the very beginning. We'll miss the first few fights.
Yeah.
Start with Campbell, Hatton, Hands of Fong. What do you think about all that? Let's carry on. 13 and 0,
Well,
13 and 0 now, isn't
yeah. I missed the end of the fight actually because my curry arrived. So I disappeared out of the living room, and then when I went back in, it was finished. But it looked to me that he's very easy to counterpunch, and when he does go in with a puncher, he'll get knocked out because he was eating jabs from that guy pretty comfortably, I thought. And yeah, it just didn't look too much of a threat, really, did he? And then, the guy wasn't really a puncher, and yeah, it's just more of the same from him, isn't it? Not really interested in him, and like we've said, I don't know how many times he wouldn't be on the main card if his name wasn't Hatton.
he? Yeah. Do you think he's kind of like involved in the sport? He doesn't really want to be doing?
I don't know about that, but uh, I think he probably knows that what I just said, like he wouldn't be where he is if his surname wasn't Hatton, and he's same as Conor Ben's just going to try and milk it and rinse his own amount of money out of it as he possibly can, and because of the surname, they can make some money off him, maybe. So it'll go as far as it goes. But I think the second he steps in with somebody that's a viable challenger, he'll lose. He already lost a fight anyway against was it the Spanish guy? I can't remember what his name was, but he got a gift of the decision, was it? When
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that?
a couple of fights ago, one about 5 fights ago,
Yeah,
that
a
one.
good a few ago. Yeah, yeah, he was comfortably outboxed in that, and just obviously decision anyway.
Okay, Campbell Hatton's style. What
Hmm.
style would you think it was? Because you know the commentators, Darren Barker and whatnot, they were waxing lyrical about some body shots he were throwing and this and that. Oh, chip off the old block and all that. What do you make of his
Yeah.
actual style?
Uh, well, the body shot thing, I guess maybe he is trying to just play up on the old man's, being that chip off the old blocks. It's again, it's a gimmick, isn't it? The apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. He's exactly the same sort of fighter as his old man was, and blah blah blah. But yeah, he's a bit of a kind of like a little bit of a sort of raider, if you like. It seems to be. So he's just sort of tries to get in and out really quick. A bit it's like Khan was good at, but he's not because he gets caught on the way out every time.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I probably haven't watched his last 3 or 4 fights until last night, just because a couple of them weren't really on anywhere to watch anyway, and I've not really got any interest in watching him. So, um, but style wise, I guess, well, 13-0, he should have a style by now, but yeah, I guess it will change as he goes on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, Johnny Fisher won a belt and outshone everybody on the night. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Looked like it was going to be over within the first 20 seconds, didn't it, when it started, and he just
Mm.
rushed his man. He fought back really well, and yeah, good, solid fight. Probably the best fight of the night. Didn't see all the pre-show fights, but of the main card, probably the best fight. Decent competitive fight, and good win. And it does seem like he's going to go through the stages rather than just try and jump up, which they could have thrown him in with somebody like Chisora by now, but he does seem to be wanting to go the correct avenues. And I thought he spoke really well after the fight as well.
Yeah. Do you think that the Romford Bull, Johnny Fisher, might get a bit of stick off me included and other people because of how cringe his dad behaves in a macho sport like boxing?
Yeah. And I think rightly so. His dad, I think you sent me the video of him with his curry sauce antics. Um,
Thought it was funny online.
I just I just don't get it. Like again, it's just a sort of gimmick it's just getting idiots on their side really because it's like the lowest form of humor or entertainment, but people hoover that up. And it'll be a shame if his dad's behavior sort of overshadows his boxing career really because like I said, he seems like a nice lad who's willing to go the right way. Um, but he doesn't need his old man behaving like that to sort of make him watchable or likable. Like I said, in his post-fight interview, he came across really well as a really likable and respectful person. So yeah, I think his dad's he could do with just getting out of the way and like you say on lots of videos, um, needs to start looking after himself.
Yeah. Ergovic and Dempsey McKean. I know what you're going to say now.
Well, it's actually the first time I've watched McKean fight. Um, because why would I have watched him before? Hergovic to me looks like he possibly used to be on gear and is not anymore. I thought last night when he took his robe off, he looked like he'd shrunk and didn't look very fit for it. Um, he looked terrible against Zhang and like he didn't really want to be there. And I thought the same last night, really. Style wise, who wants to watch it? Like, just again, I don't know if it just his, he's just a very serious guy, and he just, his sole mission is just to win, and regardless of how crap it looks. McKean, he could have possibly caused some problems. He did a little bit, but it just seemed after he'd felt a few shots, he was a bit gun shy after that, and he didn't want to throw his left. And then again, just got tired towards the end because I've probably never been in a competitive fight with somebody of that level before. And it's a good job he didn't fight AJ like they were talking about before, or Tyson Fury, because he would have got murdered.
Yeah. Do you agree with David A's comments that I haven't seen these comments? Kent mentioned them earlier this evening. Do you agree that maybe Ergovic were ready 4 or 5 years ago and that he's overcooked now?
Possibly.
Gone stale?
Yeah, I think he's probably got stale because he's well, he's not been the most active, and he's fought like fairly low level opposition.
Yeah.
And then he had, I think his dad died. Did he fairly recently? It was before the Zhang fight, which could have been a good reason for him to not really be at the races in that fight. Fair enough. I don't know. Maybe his heart's not in it anymore. It could be the case, and who knows? He could still be mourning the loss of his old man, and that would be understandable. But it's a dangerous sport to be in if your mind's not fully on what you should be doing. So if he gets the Usyk fight, we know what's going to happen there. I would actually probably say Dubois might even beat Bergovic at this stage.
Yeah.
Probably be quite a good fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Derek Chisora against Gerard Washington. Combined age 81 year, 5 month. Right. What the is going on?
uh, weird, weird. First of all, Chisora lost the fight. To have a unanimous decision in favor of Chisora was absolute. It's just a complete joke. I can't remember seeing him really land more than 4 or 5 clean punches in the entire 10 rounds.
Yeah.
But then it's Chisora, all English judges, and they can probably roll him out for another show, so they won't want him to take another loss. It looked like the beating that Tyson Fury gave him in December had really taken its toll right from the first couple of rounds, really. I don't know if it was at the end of the third or fourth, he more or less fell into his corner and onto the stool. Washington looked in good shape, to be fair to him, for his age. And I guess since he last fought, which was, I think, January last year, he must have just been training. But again, looked like he didn't want to be there from the moment he walked out onto the ramp. And then if he'd applied a little bit more pressure, he could have probably stopped Chisora mid rounds, I thought. But he just let Chisora get into that sort of bowl forward rhythm and then just bully him around, which he didn't really need to, I didn't think. But he is 41 and never was that good anyway. So but terrible fight. Shouldn't have been that high up on the card, but because it's Derek Chisora, that's the reason, I guess. Chisora should retire, but won't. So, who's going to be next?
I'm not sure, but Derek won't be bothered because whatever he's got skills challenge on the hook, I don't know where he's telling them, but obviously they believe him, don't they? He's not there for his fighting skills, is he? So he's obviously there for who he knows and what he can bring to the table as regards. I can have a word with this person. I can have a word with that person. I'll get him to do this. I'll get him to have a word. He's like a glue that nips people together, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
Obviously, he sold himself very well to them, but so far, nothing's signed and delivered, is it?
not that we know of. And yeah, he's a bit of a bully as well, isn't he? So you can imagine
Yeah.
not many people really want to say no to him if he's up close to them in person having these sorts of conversations. So who knows? Um, but yeah, he shouldn't fight again, and hopefully he won't. But like you say, he probably will.
Yeah, he probably will fight again. He'll fight until he's 50, because when he gets to 40 this year, next few months, if there's no room at the inn for him with Eddie Hills, he can't cross the street to Bricktop, can he? Because he's already come from there, and so he's burnt both bridges.
Yeah.
He'll have to go sell his ass to Callow, won't he?
Fighting misfits,
Well, he's been
YouTubers.
with them. He's been with them all, hasn't he? He's been with every promoter in country on a basis. He's worked with them all and Calla and whatnot. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with his story. But I don't see him winning a world title now. I see him getting hurt in ring, and it just getting worse for him now. After seeing
Definitely.
that performance, it looked like they had to lift him up off stool basically. But he was struggling to get up after round 5. It was like a chore, wasn't it? His
Yeah.
after round 4, when he were getting up for round 5, it was like somebody getting up for round 12 were being in a war, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. With somebody that's genuine tough competition. He's fair play to him. He is one tough man, but that's just only going to cause him problems now. Maybe he could go to Dennis and he could fight Dave Allen.
Well, I'm sure Dennis would be up for that, but as long as
I'm
Derek
sure he would.
watches on, as long as Scooby Doo likes a ticket deal, if he's on a ticket deal, it'll be all right. And
Well,
you've
to be
not,
fair,
what?
go on.
No, I was going to say you've never lived until you've fought on a Dennis ticket deal. That's Curtis Woodhouse. That's why Curtis won't fight Liam Cameron. He went, you what? I saw Dennis says that he got me on a ticket deal, Kurt. He went, oh.
To be fair,
But,
Dennis would, Derek Chisora would probably be all right on that because he probably does a few tickets, doesn't he?
well, I don't know if he does. They don't know that many in Sheffield, but
Yeah, true.
him and Dennis would probably get on because they both talk a load of shite. Okay, this is the part I like best, Craig. Feeding time. Big Meech against Robert Hilarious. We've dug him up. He's 40 this year as well. It's his third knockout, a men in the pushing 40, Povetkin and Pulev, in his last 9 fights. Is this myth that Tony Bellew's put out about him being this devastating puncher and all that, is it true or is it just waffle?
Well, it's waffle, obviously. Who's apart from last night? Who's he ever knocked out with one punch?
Well, I'm going to say something now, and people are going to say, Porky, you're like an airborne repeater. Something I said to Ken. This is what happens when you do Zooms too close to somebody else. Right. Anthony Joshua, aka the Marvis Fraser of boxing, Big Meech, he has got 5 wins over world champions now. If you look on a CV and you say that, you'd say he should be in Hall of Fame. But his wins are not like Arthur Abraham, Andre Dirrell, Mikhail Kessler, Jermaine Taylor, Jean Pascal, Boutte, the Glenn Johnson kind of thing. They are Charlie Martin, a gift because he got the belt by default. Joseph Parker, a gift in a stinker because he got the belt by default, didn't he? That's 2. Vladimir in his 42nd year, life and death. Andy Ruiz, he ran for his life in that win. And Povetkin, a regular champion. So there's an asterisk next to every win. They're not guys at the top of their game, are they? The manufactured gimme fights that look good on posters. That's why I've just said to Ken, he doesn't get in the Hall of Fame. Do you agree, Craig?
Yeah, I do
Has he
agree.
got more to do to get in Hall of Fame, Joshua?
Yeah, he needs to beat Wilder and beat Fury. But who knows if those two fights even happen?
Yeah.
Especially the Fury one. I think it's just going to be if he does fight Wilder in January, Joshua. The Fury fight's just going to be too far away. But yeah, I don't see him going in the Hall of Fame unless he beats at very least one of those, but probably needs to beat both to get in there.
Yeah. When you look at Tyson Fury's CV, though, he's got a win over Steve Cunningham, a cruiserweight, life and death. Vladimir, he was in his 40th year. He did school Vladimir, and they make a big thing about it being in Germany, don't they? Well, he had no choice but to go there, did he? He's got a couple of wins over Wilder, so he's got 4 wins. So his CV's really on same sort of level in it. Really, he's got a lot more to do to get in Hall of Fame. Do you agree on that, Craig?
I do, yeah. I am a big Tyson Fury fan, although a bit less so in the last however many months, 10 months or so, with just how inactive he's been and choosing the easy fight with Chisora. But yeah, same goes for Fury. Really, if he wants to get in there, he's going to have to beat Joshua and he's going to have to beat Usyk.
Yeah, when you look at the Hall of Fame, you look at people like Vladimir. I think he's in there, is he, Vladimir? I think he is in it. He should be.
You'd have to ask Kent.
Yeah, Kent would probably know about it. If he did it, if he is, he should be because he had loads of defence. Oh, you look at Larry Holmes, people like that.
Yeah.
Ali, look at Ali's CV, man. You know, there's deserving Hall of Famers. You know, and I look today and I think, I look at Anthony Joshua, look at Tyson Fury, and we had 2 heavyweight champions. We couldn't get them in the ring. Look how we're making billboard, well, mini billboard pull things. 4 years ago, which fight do you want? Joshua, Fury, Wilder. Fair enough, Fury fought Wilder, but Joshua's been nowhere near, has he? I think when I look at Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, I look at 2 people that are more bothered about money and rinsing the boxing fans than they are about legacy. What do you think to that, Craig?
Yeah, I think you're right. As much as Fury, goes on about not being bothered about money, he's got about 18 kids, so he needs it. Everybody cares about money. Sadly, it's the thing that we all need, and most of us haven't got enough of.
Yeah.
So,
Tell me about it.
yeah, yeah. Tyson Fury definitely cares about money, and Anthony Joshua, he's got more money than all of them probably, but still wants more because like we've talked about many times, the more you have, the more you spend, and the more people, in Joshua's case at least, he has around him that want to earn off him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who knows what sort of debts these people are in as well, with overreaching for things. And I think it's been talked about a bit that Fury technically sort of owes money to Top Rank and Bob Arum for their investment in him, which he hasn't done enough to pay back yet.
No.
Which sort of makes me think this Ngannou thing, because it's such easy money, is that just a big lump to either bank just for himself or sort of get rid of a bit of that without too much of a risk?
He's probably got to get rid of all sorts of people that are tied to him having a piece of his pie. You know what I mean? But this is how I look at it, right? Why would you want a 2-fight deal for millions of pounds with somebody who's never had a boxing fight in his life and still want to keep hold of the belt? If Fury vacates the belt, I will be the first person to say, well done, let to the next 2 in line fight for it and let boxing move on because you're not bigger than boxing. Ali wasn't bigger than boxing, and he's been the biggest name this sport's ever had. Bigger than Mayweather, bigger than anybody. Joshua, Fury, Canelo. Muhammad Ali was bigger than the sport. But boxing moves on. The boxer's still going without Ali. Even though Ali set the benchmark, 16 world champions beaten, but you could look at another 10 or 12 on his record that would be world champions today because there were no loads of belts in them days, were there? Look at Ernie Shavers. He'd be a world champion today, wouldn't he? People like that, on Ali's CV. So he was bigger than the sport, but the sport moved on. And I think Tyson Fury should part the belt up and be a gentleman. He could come back at any time. He's a big enough star, isn't he? But part that belt up, Tyson, and let other people fight for it.
I think the trouble is if he did, the next in line I think would be Wilder and Ruiz, is it? I think.
Why
Who,
not?
according to Malik Scott, Ruiz has sort of priced himself out of the Wilder fight anyway. Yeah, and it's probably just too late in the game for Fury to vacate, do whatever he's going to do, then try and come back. 'Cause he'll be nearly 40 by then, and yeah, he'll probably want to be done and dusted before then anyway. So, but they probably don't want him to vacate anyway because he's such a big name and they can make plenty of money off him when he does fight, compared to somebody like Ruiz, who's not really much of a draw anywhere. So yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying. He, if he's going to carry on doing these fights with the likes of Ngannou, then probably shouldn't be holding on to the belt. But he'll just argue, well, I only defended it 8 months ago. Normally it's 12 months or whatever. So I think the only way Fury can redeem himself with this Ngannou thing is that if he beats him, which he will, um, and then organizes another fight straight away, January, February sort of time, and just get straight at it with somebody. It's got to be Usyk, really, hasn't it? After Usyk beats Dubois, but who's to say?
How have you got Joshua's mental state today? Because he looked pretty bashed up, didn't he, in that interview on IFL with his sunglasses on? All the side of his face were all swollen, but well, both sides, but one more than other, and his nose looked a bit.
Yeah, Helenius, for what he is, put hands on him fairly well in the first
Yeah,
early rounds. I think
yeah.
it was after round two, Joshua's left eye was swollen and looking a bit worse for wear.
Yeah.
But he did, yeah, it must have only been Helenius's jab getting through because he didn't really land many big shots.
Right.
But he was obviously just nailing that left eye quite well. Uh, I still think Joshua's mental state is all over the place. He just doesn't
Yeah,
seem like he really knows who or what he is,
yeah.
which is it's quite sad, but you know, he's allowed himself to be created that way, um, by basically just chasing money, like we were just talking about.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, he was fairly bashed up. Quite funny that he had his shades on for his interviews. What's the point of doing that? We've all seen your face at the end of the fight anyway. And you're a boxer. Surely, the odd mark here and there's par for the course. Um, I I caught a bit of an interview. I think it was for Seconds Out, where it was Eddie, Joshua, and Derek James. Derek James didn't really say anything, but Joshua's just he tries to be clever with all his answers whenever they ask him a question, and it ends up just sort of spiraling and getting worse till he eventually, I think, he just forgets what he was actually asked, and he's always trying to project this sort of image of strength, like he's some sort of inner philosopher. And we all know he's not, and he's not actually that much
He
of a smart
crumbled.
guy.
He crumbled in jail, mate. After 2 weeks, McCracken had to get him out. They tried all sorts. They got him out after 2 weeks. Look,
How old was he then?
that was just before Olympics, wasn't it? So he'd have been in his 20s, wasn't he?
Early
22,
20s, yeah.
23 or something, yeah.
Before he got on the gear.
Well, yeah. But this is how I look at it. If you're not about that life, don't make out you are. I've been about that life. I've done jail time, hard jail time, and I got through it. But not everybody can get through it. I probably got through it because I'm a little bit crackers as well, and anti-establishment, and that drives me on. If I have something inside me, I think I'll show you. Like with most, when I apply myself, I can do most things. Jail time, quit drugs, lose all that weight. I'm pretty with Porky's Corner. You won't believe what don't why I have to put up with, don't you, going through with this channel.
Yeah.
So I'm really strong inside mentally. I do have a moan. Ian,
Well, that's all right.
I can see Ian. I've seen people like him come on in prison, and they think, God, he looks like he could have a do. 48 hours later, they've got that they can't do it. It's not for everybody, and he ain't about that life. Trust me, he might
No.
have been knocking people about on that estate that was smaller than him. Well, he was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he broke his bail on it. He knocked get two kids, two good ideas. He handed some fist out. But I bet they were smaller than him. I've heard they were.
Well,
So he ain't about
six.
that. Yeah, he's 6'6", but he ain't about that life, Craig. He ain't.
Yeah.
So why he's coming out to Godfather music,
Oh,
going on about Nicky Barnes Big Meech, and who's that guy Denzel Washington plays? Frank Lucas, Larry Hoover. Why is it? I look up to them. I'm from the street. You're not. You're from Watford, lad. Right? You're making out you're from Compton. He's not about that life, because if he were, he'd be still doing that life, wouldn't he? He ain't about that. He ain't, mate, because he turned his life around. That wasn't for him. It didn't last 2 minutes. So why he has to carry off like that, I don't know. And that carrying off of that weighing, what we're all that about? You're not got a pay-per-view to sell. So what are you trying to G yourself up like that for, you goonie?
No idea. It is like I think, these guys all, they say they don't, or they pretend they don't, keep an eye on social media and what people's opinions of them are and stuff, but they definitely do.
Listen, mate,
And
I've been in gyms, and I've seen people in between sessions on the phones. And they've gone, have you seen what this person said about meat porky? Have you seen what this person? They're obsessed.
Yeah.
Boxers are work. It's footballers that don't look at it. Boxers need to stop looking at social media and stop being insecure about what people think about, because that's why the boxers anyway, most of them, because they're insecure. And just crack on with being a boxer and turn your phone off.
Yeah.
You don't see Usyk carrying up like that, do you? Or Lomachenko. They're not insecure. I don't get it, mate. I don't get it at all. Move on with it.
It's when you surround yourself with the stuff that goes with the glamour of it, if you like, and it seems like Usyk. Yeah, and it seems like Usyk really doesn't bother with any of that sort of stuff. I remember I think it was after the first AJ fight, where I think he posted a picture of himself outside his house, and it just looked like a 3-bedroom detached house in the middle of like a suburb. Nothing fancy. And
listen,
Joshua,
mate, let me just say this, right? Joshua's got an house in central London, right? That's near where Princess Diana had one. Right. All this about lives in his mum's council house and all that. It's the biggest load of tripe I've ever heard in my life. Honestly, I wish I could tell you who told me. He is not. Look, he doesn't live in a council house. I can assure you of that, mate. A council flat, whatever. Yeah, they might have bought it for his mum, whatever. She's been in it years. Anthony, you don't live in a council house, so stop making out you're the man of the people.
Yeah, I think going back to the weigh-in face-off thing, I think that was just him trying to be what everybody keeps talking about, him being this sort of bad man. And it's annoying when actually people keep going on about he needs to be the old AJ, but what they're referring to is when he was knocking over
Gary
Journeyman. Yeah, exactly. And then he couldn't put Joseph Parker away, and we've seen Chisora almost stop Parker.
What do you think to the Tony Bellew is learning on the job and he's a devastating puncher? What do you think about all that? Because he's 34, isn't he? Olympic medalist, 2-time world champion, British champion, world silver in world championship. So where's all this come from, this learning on the job, or to try it?
First of all, why did they even need to bring Tony Bellew onto commentary for the main event? Costello and Andy Lee do a fine job without him. And it is, I can answer my own question there. And if he was brought on to tell people who are listening at home that he is still learning, excuse him for not getting Helenius out of there in 3 rounds. And I think at one point he actually did say, I believe Anthony Joshua is the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division.
It might be a big puncher on a punch bag, but you've got to deliver the punch and hit the target, haven't you?
Precisely. And
he's not hitting the target on any of them, is he, really?
No. And the only reason he landed that shot on Helenius was because Helenius was knackered. And was constant. If you watch, he was just looking for the ropes to have a lean on from sort of round 5 onwards. And at I think it was between 6 and 7, he was sat in the corner and kind of looked like he was saying to himself, what am I still doing in here? I am dead. He just looked like he'd had enough. And He pretty much did. His hands were down, his feet weren't moving anymore, and that's you're going to get clipped then, aren't you? So
Mm.
not impressive win, good punch, but again, static target who was never that great, and was he's just basically done. Well, he's had 2 fights in a week, and got absolutely ironed by Wilder less than a year ago. Was it? Yeah, less than a year ago, and probably isn't quite right.
Do you think that it would have been better if he made a statement for wanting the Wilder fight and blasted him out in a round like Wilder and said, right, anything you can do, Wilder, I can do. Let's get at it.
Yeah,
I think that'd have been
that's
better.
even not necessarily one round, but even just a few rounds and actually putting it on him rather than being as tentative as he was.
Yeah.
And what annoyed me even more, and he's done it multiple times now, is post-fight interview in the ring. He was asked directly about Wilder, and he just did that stupid, "Oh, my back, my back. Is there a doctor in the house? Because I'm about to carry the heavyweight division to the top," and then walks off. What? Like perfect opportunity. If you are actually serious about the Wilder fight, build the hype from there. He
You
could
don't
have
want
just
that
gone.
smoke. They want to pick
No, of
money up.
course
They want to
he
keep
could have just
earning.
grabbed the mic, down the camera. I want Wilder next. Get him in there. But instead, he went around the ring to Conor McGregor and had a sip of his stout.
Like you wouldn't. Well, Conor Ben's been out of his face. There could be all sorts of stuff in that drink or little
Thought the
trace. There
same
could have
thing.
been there could have been traces of something. It'd be like Liam Cameron handling ticket money with coke on him. You only need that little smidgen, and it's what do they call it? Adverse finding of cocaine.
Yeah, there could have been traces of Ebony Bridges in that pint.
Well, I hope not. I mean, you don't know where she's been, do you? Ugh.
Well, I think it's
God.
easier to make a list of where she hasn't.
Yeah. Well, she got fired off from Origins, Jimmy in Essex from Timo, her on the pal. Get gone.
Well, I feel McGregor's a different story, but I feel sorry for his wife.
Yeah.
I'd like to think actually that when he's running around with busloads of these stupid girls, that she's actually cheating on him as well. She's just having a nice fella around for the night whilst he's out. Yeah. Joshua, just like disrespectful as well. Actually, Hellenius deserves a lot of respect for actually making sure that show went ahead. And as he's laying unconscious on the floor, Anthony Joshua's walking around the ring, doing the old. I don't know if you watch wrestling. I know Terry does. Doing the old DX suck it crotch chop to the crowd and saying whatever he was saying. Just disrespectful, and it just shows that he is insecure. Because he obviously had a chip on his shoulder and feels like he had to prove something by knocking the guy out last night, and it doesn't really prove anything.
Yeah. Okay, no. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, Craig. You've been a real tonic. Nice to have you on. We're going to have to wait another 18 months for your next appearance.
Nah, no, we'll get it organised sooner than that now.
Right. Okay, then. Well, listen,
Cool.
you have a good evening. Sorry for the
Thanks,
delay.
mate.
Sorry for the
No
delay.
problem. No probs.
You take care. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. You too.
Cheers, Craig. Bye.
Cheers, dude. Bye.
Bye.